What's up, YouTube? It's QahirTheConqueror here. Welcome back to my channel for yet again another video. Before I start this video, I would like to say if you enjoy this video in any way, and if you resonate with this content and enjoy any of my content in any way, please drop a like, comment, and or subscribe. It would help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. Alright guys, in this video, man, I'm going to talk about isolation and what it can do for you, how it can help you and shape you, and what you can take from it and get out of it. In my case, there have been many times in life, and I just believe because of my life trajectory and things like that, I just have a unique path that has kind of led me away from a lot of people and things and places, and it's unique to me. But even despite that, I feel like there have been many times where, whether it was my doing or stuff I couldn't control, that would lead me to be isolated for a period of time. And when I say isolation, you define it how you need to, but from the loose definition I'm using, is just basically like when you're kind of, I don't mean at odds and ostracized, but I mean like when you feel out of place compared to what was once comfortable. To slowly lose connections to, maybe friends or partners or even family, or maybe just nothing really feels like home, even if you have a home, but you just start to feel that you need to go inwards for some reason. That is kind of what I mean when I'm talking about isolation. So yes, in layman's terms, being alone from people, but you can be isolated in a relationship. You can feel like that. You can feel isolated in your friend group. You can feel isolated in your household. You can feel isolated on your sports team. Now, like I said, that hasn't always applied to me. I've had a good life, but sometimes you can feel like that even amongst a lot of people. You can still feel alone because of what I mentioned. So that's kind of what I mean to set this precedent for what I mean when I say isolation. And it'll apply to you however it needs to apply to you, as well as I know. As I mentioned, like, sometimes you can do that on your own. Sometimes you can be a jerk to people and people go, you know what? You stay over there with that mess and I'm gonna stay over here because I don't know what you have going on, but I don't like it. So you go figure that out, and when you're good, if they're merciful, then they'll kind of let you come back. Or sometimes they go, you know what, you stay over there because I'm gonna stay over here because the lines you've crossed are just too much to overcome. And that is what it is. So as I mentioned, sometimes I've done that. Sometimes I've been a jerk to people and I've owned up to it internally, but sometimes that caused my isolation. And then also sometimes where it just felt like forces against me just would have me feeling out of place and out of touch with people and places and things and environments where it once felt like, the best ever, or it felt at the most comfortable, you know what I mean? And sometimes it wasn't even my doing that would cause me to kind of slowly but surely lose those formal connections, and you start to feel like a stranger where you once felt like at home, as I mentioned. Like I said, these environments can vary, so apply it where you need to. One thing I also notice is that many people don't like being alone. You don't like not being around who you love and who makes you feel happy and things like that. And many people feel an empty void when they're alone, and they don't feel comfortable with themselves. They don't love themselves enough. And that is where I'm kind of going with this video. So what happens is you have people that jump from friendship to friendship to friendship to friendship, because as soon as something gets a little weird and it's tension and awkward and things like that, like I said, you start to feel isolated and more individual. They go seek it from somebody else. You leave a relationship and they go jump from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship because they just can't be alone. Sometimes people even, substitute their family for other people and things like that, or go from job to job to job, from job to job to job. And it's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking those people. But what if sometimes you need to be alone? I do also want to put myself out there. I am very extroverted and actually very popular, but at the same time, I keep to myself. I really like my own presence, and I also am very selectively social. So there are times where sometimes I just don't want to talk to anybody. But like I said, I'm very popular and people like me, and I like people a lot too. I just need a lot of space. So I do want to say that there are people who are on the other side of the spectrum and they're always alone because of they know what. But I don't think it's always healthy to be alone, and I don't think it's always healthy to be surrounded by whatever it is you're surrounded by. You need to find a balance. Many times, like I said, in these periods of isolation, you want to know something interesting? Usually, if I didn't try to fill a void and, like I said, quickly replace that and go find something to fill me up, because you feel empty when you're not, like I said, surrounded by whatever. When I would reflect, because I'm a very reflective person, and when I would actually try to figure out whatever it is I need to figure out, or go deep within and, you know what I mean, just reflect and meditate on whatever it is I need to, I noticed that usually, oftentimes, I would come out of that period of isolation with so much substance and kind of be like a new person. And now the time can vary. It can be 3 months, it can be a week, it can be a year, it can be 5 years. It is what it is. That's for you, like I said, to discern on your own. And I've had various periods of time where this was a prevalent feeling for me. And I also noticed that there were times where I don't think I did it right. I was trying to just jump from this to that, or trying to replace it, and didn't want to be alone. And then usually, like I said, I wouldn't come out with that same substance, and I would come out, if not the same person, a regressed version of myself. And usually you don't really even make the best decisions because of that. So let's just think about it. And this might or may apply to me, but I'm using this as a general example. You get out of a relationship. Now you're alone for a period of time, and you didn't heal and recover and reflect on whatever went right or wrong. Who really does in this day and age? But a week or a month later, you're with somebody else. And I'm not shaming or knocking anybody. It's just an example. But what you really did was you couldn't really feel full on your own, so you jumped into something else so it can fill that void that you feel inside. That is where I'm kind of getting, and I'll go a little further. Sometimes you need to feel whatever it is you need to feel so you can fill yourself up, or whatever it is that is really for you and makes you feel purposeful and motivated and productive. That'll fill you up. If you're always going to work every day and you work 40, if not more, hours a week, Monday through Friday, and maybe you got 2 off days. If you've never worked full time or close enough to it, those off days aren't really off days. They go by like this. And the whole time you're off, you're thinking about when you gotta go back to work. So don't think that those 2 off days really are beneficial to you. Even if you watch a movie or you get some food or you hang out with some friends, that goes by like that. With that being said, if you're always working and you never really have time for anything else, you don't have time to discover yourself. You don't have time to figure out certain things because all of your energy, or a large portion of it, is going towards your work. So sometimes, like I said, if you maybe lose your job, or if you quit your job, or if you, whatever happens and you're on a break or something, you might feel like that emptiness is there, but you can fill it up. See, sometimes, especially if you're somebody that has use and somebody that is chosen, for lack of a better word, and you have something substantive or special or significant to offer maybe the world or your community or something like that, sometimes you need to be isolated. What I'm kind of hinting at is sometimes these things around us, whatever it is, like I said, family, friends, work, relationships, sports, hobbies, I don't know, you name it. Oftentimes they're really distractions, good distractions, but if you're always consumed with something else and you're not really in touch with yourself and with your true potential and things like that, sometimes you need to be even forcefully isolated in order for you to be reached, if that makes sense. I don't want to get spiritual with this because this doesn't have to go there, but another element of this video is the spiritual aspect. Sometimes you have all of these voices and distractions and things like that going on in a good way or a bad way, pervading your mind in a good way or a bad way, and you really can't hone in on what you need to. So sometimes I feel like God has isolated me because I couldn't hear his voice. I couldn't hear his guidance and his consolation and things like that because I'm hearing everything from everybody else, so I can't hone in and focus on, oh, that's what I really should be doing right now. That's the point I'm getting at. And like I said, not thinking spiritual, I just want to give that element. But to go a little deeper, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, there were times where some of the most sanctified and holy prophets that have come to us and to different people in different times have needed to go and isolate themselves within in order to reflect and meditate and, like I said, lock in, for lack of a better word. And then when they came out of it, there was just so much more to them and so many more layers and so much more depth to them. That doesn't always feel good, like I said, because when you're isolated from people you love or people that you feel, familiar with and things like that, or environments, then you feel so empty, and it's so easy to just go back into that and ignore whatever it is you need to, or to just have something else fill you up real quick, jump to that, jump to this, jump to that. But like I said, sometimes you need to be isolated, and you can use that to come out with so much more. And every now and then, I think it's okay. Every now and then, we should be alone. Not forever, because we're social beings. We're humans. We need to interact and have positive interactions with people in order to not go insane and lose our minds and things like that. Essentially, if you get to that phase in life, or if you ever feel sometimes like you're alone for a minute, or you're isolated and you don't even know if you caused it or if it was forcefully caused, and that is for you to decipher, because like I said, there are times where I could kind of tell, like, you know what, I made some mistakes and there's kind of a reason why it's just me right now. And then there are also times where it's like, I don't even know what's happening. There's like stuff happening that I can't control, and I'm all of a sudden like, people are just falling out of my life and things like that. And it's easy to distract yourself again, but you need to get comfortable with yourself. You need to be comfortable enough to be alone temporarily. You need to love yourself enough to be okay with being alone temporarily. Don't stay alone forever, but until you need to do what you need to do. So to summarize this video, I just kind of wanted to iterate how sometimes if you're isolated, or you feel isolated, or you feel alone, or whatever it is that you feel, whatever it is that's going on in your life for that period or this period of time, number one, try to find the lessons in it. Like, what should I be doing? What have I been putting off? What have I been procrastinating to do? What am I avoiding? And usually that is what you'll come away from in the periods of isolation if you do it right. Now, sometimes you don't do it right, and then you just go and you go and you go and you repeat cycles over and over and over again. But what if you could have broken that cycle by just simply reflecting and going in and facing whatever it is you need to face? Because that really is the brunt of this video. You sometimes need to face whatever it is you need to face, and you need to reflect and hear whatever it is you need to hear in order to feel complete. Sometimes you need to fill yourself up, and you don't need to always be influenced and distracted by the lovely or not so lovely distractions that are there for us to consume. I hope this video helped. Thank you. Stay tuned. See you for the next one.